So history is bound to repeat itself. Comparing the 60s to the social movements now today, I think we're pretty similar in both aspects where in the 60s people were protesting to bring peace, to bring home our truths, and to have equality. Also in the 60s, there was a lot of interesting movements and riots regarding women's rights where they were starting to become a big deal and allowed to be protected under the same act as men to have equal rights in athletic opportunities. Um, the LGBT community were not allowed to do any sexual acts or to be caught because it was considered illegal in 1969 throughout the United States. This led to riots and protests, and there are also mass protests between 1960 and 1964 regarding to Jim Crow in the South, which also led back to the Black communities to take action and start writing and discovering Black power. Finally, in the late 60s, the Vietnam War was shaking the nation. There were a lot of anti-protests in DC to bring home our troops. Nixon eventually promised to withdraw at around 35,000 troops and soon 50,000 more by 1970. Compared to today, the equality we look for is same-sex marriage instead of just acceptance like in the 60s, as well as the anti-war movements in Iraq and the anti-abortionists for women's rights. Women's rights also has improved but still faces some obstacles. The LGBT community has become more widely known, fighting for all those who believe in equality, for same-sex marriage, and more. While there are still protests going on regarding pro-life or pro-choice, the decision on getting an abortion is much easier compared to back in the 60s where it was usually done illegally by paying a minimum fee of around $1,000 or by having some sort of sexual relations with the abortionists themselves first. This later on led to protests and inspiration for abortion to become illegal. And the war on terror can also be easily compared to the Vietnam War, since there were also many protests on bringing troops back home. The overall radicalism in the 60s and now, us Americans are pretty much similar, even though there are certain distinct events and riots and movements that occurred before in order for the ones now to occur. Um, it all leads to setting up against political angst and racism to accepting diversity.